Hello, friends, and welcome into the Cowboys Report. Per your guys' request, we are doing a 7-round mock draft on today's show. Before we dive into the picks here in just a second, a couple notes for starters. I assume Dak Prescott and Amari are going to be back based on the picks that I ended up making. There are still plenty of needs for the Cowboys. Defensive line, frankly, DT and edge are areas that they can explore. Less so edge if Quinn comes back. Corner, safety, receiver, tight end, also big areas that I was looking out for as I ran the 7-round mock draft simulator. We begin with the first round pick for the Cowboys. I went with Trevon Diggs, the cornerback out of Alabama. He's got great size. I do have some concerns over his deep speed. He never really got roasted in terms of deep routes, but when there were times he had to catch up some ground, didn't really do that, of course. There weren't very many of those times, and beyond the LSU game, Diggs was dominant this year at Alabama with Byron Jones a free agent. If he walks or you can't sign him or you can't tag him, corner becomes one of the biggest needs for the Cowboys, I think by a pretty significant margin. 3 interceptions this past year, broke up several pass breakups. There were times where I was like, I wish he was a better tackler. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm always going to take the better coverage guy over the better tackler corner. And it's not like he was a horrible tackler either. I don't know if Diggs comes in year one and is suddenly your number one corner. That's a bit of a high expectation there. But if you lose Byron and you lose Anthony Brown potentially too, along with C.J. Goodwin, that leaves you a Wouzier, Jordan Lewis, and a giant mess of unknown players in Alumba Westry who you simply cannot count on to be your number one guys. Now, as we always do, we'll also show you what other prospects were available. So hold off on complaining about me not taking somebody. Maybe they weren't there. For example, in this case, Grant Delpit was not on the board. Cleveland Chasen and Javon Kinlaw were, I considered those two. C.J. Henderson was also there. Xavier McKinney was the top safety. T. Higgins was the top wide receiver. Now, Kayvon Chasen I was really tempted by, and in the end I said, okay, well, I'll pretend that I get one of those guys, either corner, edge. If I pick the other route, then I'll just assume Byron's back or Quinn is back. So we'll pretend going forward now that Robert Quinn is re-signed in this scenario, and that's what mock drafts are. They are scenarios. So who would you guys take? Let's say these are the 5 best players on the board. You could even throw in a Trevon Diggs there if that's the route you would prefer as well. Just type me in that scenario because you like the pick that I made. A for Kayvon, B for Kinlaw, C for Henderson, D for McKinney, F for Higgins, and just a me for Diggs. If you're watching on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break here. If you do, I've made this the pinned comment and spelled out the options as well. Go type your votes right there. Let's move on now to round number 2. I went with a very different prospect, one that we haven't really discussed here on the Cowboys Report. That is Texas A&M defensive tackle Justin Madubuike. And I like him. I'm intrigued by him. I haven't fully dove in and finished my study of him, but I think he's best as a 3 technique. But he played at various defensive line spots. He does bring good size as well. He's got production. 2 straight years of 10 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. I like that from a defensive lineman. Now, I don't think he is going to be a premier pass rusher in the NFL, but remember, we're in round 2. You're normally not going to find a premier defensive tackle pass rusher. But I think he's a player who can play all 3 downs for you. I think he's more than good enough against the run, and I think that fits well for the Cowboys. I still want pass rush help, but what if I have somebody who I can play at 3 technique on first and second down, kick inside to 1 tech on third downs? I think maybe there's a chance that Madubuike could be that type of player for you, and I got to find defensive tackle help. Right now, looking ahead to next year, I don't know if Tyrone Crawford's going to be back, quite frankly. Maybe he gets restructured. Malik Collins, as we mentioned yesterday, he might be gone. Antoine Woods, I like him, but he's an RFA and a 1 tech. I need more guys who, even if they are more penetrative 3 techniques by trade, I need more players who can actually impact the defensive line on the run game, and I think that Justin can fill that role. Now, the other players who were on the board here, some receivers, Justin Jefferson out of LSU, Jalen Reagor out of TCU, Cole Kmet from Notre Dame. I almost went with Leki Fotu, the defensive tackle from Utah, but we've talked about him before, and frankly, I wanted to mix it up here because these these are different scenarios. Like, we took Javon Kinlaw the last time we did one. You can go check that out to see how that scenario played out. And then Josh Uche, who I'm intrigued by as an almost edge linebacker hybrid. Now, this is not the only mock draft we will do on the Cowboys Report. I promise you guys that we will do plenty. We will do plenty of draft targets. We will keep you updated on the prospects the Cowboys meet with and who they like. So if you want the best Cowboys draft coverage out there, hit that big red button and subscribe today. A growing pet cat of mine, that just means I have a player I really like, Kyle Duggar out of Lenoir-Rhyne. And if you don't know where that is, that's okay. Nobody does. But Duggar is a fantastic athlete with great size and returnability. Here's my pitch on why you should probably try and get Kyle Duggar on your team, even if he is from a smaller school and is already going to turn 24 before the NFL draft. Typically, you don't find safeties who check in around 6'1", 217 pounds, and are also dynamic safeties and great athletes and were return men for their team. You don't often find those caliber of athletes. So for me, Duggar's one of my personal favorite prospects this year. Do I think he's the best prospect? No, of course not. I'm not a crazy person. But I want you guys in the comments, maybe it is Duggar. Maybe it's someone we mentioned or someone we did not mention. Let me know in the comments who your favorite prospects are this year. I would venture to say there's some overlap. Now, you see the drop-off in production in 2019. There's one big caveat there. He only played in 7 games. He missed some time because of injury. He's fully healthy now, so don't panic on that front. Despite only playing in 7 games, he still won the Cliff Harris Award for the best defensive player in the FCS. Duggar can come in and immediately be your strong safety, at least I think that. Xavier Woods and Duggar at the safety positions, I think I've fixed my issues in the back end there. And even in that scenario, you could bring back Jeff Heath if you wanted. You don't have to, but it's certainly an option. Kevon Frazier, Thompson, Wilson could all still be backups for you. The Cowboys don't seem to view Wilson as a free safety. Or a strong safety. I'm going to go get one in the draft instead. The other prospects available, I already know you guys are mad at me for not picking Thaddeus Moss, but I got to find defensive players. But I do think this round 3 range we're at right now here at pick 82, it's about the right range as far as I'm concerned for Thaddeus Moss. You got KJ Hill in there, Zach Bond, Bradley Knight, who I almost took, but I really wanted a safety. And Brandon Jones, by the way, was also on the board. I've also got a deal for you guys. Head over to Pro Flowers at chatsports.com/flowers. Valentine's Day is almost here. So if you want to get everything before it runs out, if you don't want to be waiting until the very last second to get yourself a gift for your girlfriend, for your wife, for your mother, head over to chatsports.com/flowers. That link will save you 15% off flowers and gifts. So, pro tip, get the cookie package. You get some for yourself there in the end. Check the description, check the comments. I've got that link in there for you guys. All right, on to round 4 here. It was all about value for me. I know receiver's not the biggest need if you bring back Amari Cooper or if you tag Cooper or whatever, but Pittman at 113, I couldn't pass on it. I simply could not. A breakout senior season for USC. He's got great hands and does not drop passes. Has like a 2% drop rate, which is insane. He's probably going to be a top 100 pick. I don't know if he's going to test that well in terms of speed, but he profiles as a really ideal possession receiver. So if you want a bigger body to operate around the red zone, around the first down marker, on underneath routes, maybe less of being a true vertical threat, but Albert Cooper can play that role. I like Pittman in that mold a lot. I think he's a bit more of an outside receiver, but in round 4, I'm going to try and score some points here. I want one more receiver. Pittman is incredible value in what is overall a very strong wide receiver class. Now, again, I think you retain Amari Cooper at least for a year. We'll see what happens with Randall Cobb. If one or both of those guys leave, receiver kind of jumps up my need list. But there are a lot of receivers that I'm a big fan of this year. In fact, there are so many, they're probably going to slide down the draft board just because of the volume. That includes guys like Tyler Johnson. That includes guys like Colin Johnson out of Texas. Devin Duvernay could be an option here as well. Other players who are on the board, by the way, I thought about Jared Pinkney, but I'm going to hold off on tight end for now. Evan Weaver out of Cal, and Alex Highsmith, an edge rusher out of Charlotte. Also, Troy Pride, if you want to go with another corner here early on. All those guys were on the board in round 4. We mentioned receivers here. It is such a strong group of players that I believe the best route is frankly to sit and wait. You don't have to spend a top 75 pick on a receiver. You can wait until out to the top 100, and because there are so many top 100 caliber guys, they're going to fall out beyond that range. So let me know in the comments what receiver you guys want to draft can be a bigger name player or even a later round sleeper to watch out for. Let's get weird in round 5, by the way, folks. Chase Claypool. He played receiver at Notre Dame. Big body, has the size you want. I would personally, and this because I'm in charge here, it's my show, my mock, let's make Chase Claypool a tight end. Let's experiment and be a little bit risky here with your late round 5 pick. He has the size. You want him to add another 15, 20 pounds. He's just under 230 already. So at that point, getting in that 245, 250 range, I think you're about where you want. Tight end, of course, is a need, but the options were not great the further along we got. So my question before we dive into more on Claypool, what's the bigger draft? Type TE for tight end or WR for wide receiver? Of course, it's kind of tough to say for sure because we don't know what's going to happen with Amari Cooper and Randall Cobb. But I wonder if tight end might end up being the bigger one once free agency is all said and done for the Cowboys. Now, as for Claypool, I'm super intrigued by him. He has so much of what you want from a physical perspective. He's got fantastic hands, but I don't trust his true top-end athleticism as like an outside burner. I think as a pretty good blocker, I would try and move him inside the line because he could be a big slot for you. He could be a little bit more dynamic version of Blake Jarwin. Teach him how to block. Give him a year. I'm super intrigued by that. And Jason Witten, I don't know what his future holds. Maybe it's the Giants. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe it's out of the NFL altogether for a year. I'm down to give Blake Jarwin a shot as the full-time tight end. I know that Dalton Schultz can be a decent blocker. I need someone a little bit more dynamic. Let me try out with Chase Claypool. I know it's kind of different and out of the box, but it's a fun, dynamic option for a passing attack that could always use more options. All right, the other prospect available here, Josiah DeGara, who's kind of more of that H-back, fullback tight end hybrid, I believe. Devon Hamilton, thought about another defensive tackle there. Miles Bryant, Jacob Phillips from LSU, and Ezra Cleveland from Boise State there. As you can tell, when I saw Chase Claypool there, it was a pretty easy pick for me. Now, we are coming up on Super Bowl 54, and if you want to bet on the Chiefs versus the 49ers, do it on BetDSI. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code you see on your screen. It's Cowboys120. It gets you a 120% deposit bonus. That's chatsports.com/bet. The promo code again is Cowboys120. As weird as it sounds, I'm probably going to pick the 49ers as the underdog. I like to cheer for them, just the underdog in general, although I don't really have much of a rooting interest either way because the Cowboys aren't in it. All right, the final pick here, then we'll recap for you. Round 7, Dane Jackson, who I was pleasantly surprised by at the Senior Bowl. Now, he plays physical. The problem is, and why he could slide, I don't know if he's going to fall to round 7, but hey, it's a simulation, so I can do whatever I can here. He's not built to play physical. He's a little over 5'11", was only 180 at the Senior Bowl. That is not indicative of a player who's going to thrive in press coverage and playing a physical role. But he has plenty of experience. I think he's a pretty good run support player. That makes him a special teams candidate for me. Now, he gave up some plays at Pitt, got picked on in the red zone. That's what happens. It's why he's available in round 7 after all. But I think he could end up being an intriguing back-end option. When you're looking round 7, you're not trying to find an instant day one starter. You're not going to. But depth, special teams guys, that's intriguing. The other prospects available, I almost got really weird with it and went with Cole McDonald because he's fun in a like Jameis Winston sort of way, but I decided to not go quarterback there. The other main one I thought about was Carter Coughlin. I don't think he's an edge. He's kind of this awkward tweener. I think he's an off-ball linebacker. Think a Kyle Wilbur type. But I wanted to get more depth at corner, and I haven't really finished my Coughlin study, and I'm not sure what really his role is in the NFL. So to recap my latest 7-round Cowboys mock draft, Trevon Diggs, he goes in round 1. Justin Madubuike goes in round 2 to fill the defensive tackle hole. Kyle Duggar, my boy, goes in round 3. Then I got some wide receivers. Michael Pittman out of USC. I'm going to take Chase Claypool, and I'm going to play him at tight end. He's a wide receiver at Notre Dame, but I'm going to be different and outside the box here with that pick. And then Dane Jackson finishes things up in round 7. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.